What is the worst/scariest thing that has woken you up? Actually just happened last week. Woke up to my dog growling and someone was shining a light into my window at 2 a.m. I was super out of it and trying to process what was going on since the light was coming from someone in my fenced-in backyard. Then my dog barked loud and the person ran away. A literal living nightmare of mine. Thank you for reminding me of the constant fear I had forgotten. Praise enterprising. Same here. Waking up to anyone I don't know is terrifying. I remember hearing a story of a guy who would sneak into people's houses and lick their toes when they were asleep. I don't think I slept well for a week after that. Wait, what? My math teacher calling out my name 6+ times in a room of 20 other students and me slowly waking up while mumbling "SHH, be quiet," not realizing that the voice I was hearing wasn't, in fact, in a dream. Edit, eternal gratitude for the silver. Science teacher in HS, very good friend's dad, known him since I was 5, woke me up when I was dozing in class. Teacher, name. What's something that uses pull? Me, clay pigeons teacher, clay pigeons he says, alright then #X200B, found out later he was so dumbfounded at how quickly I thought of anything he just let it slide. #X200B, edit, it was a physics class and he was talking about forces interacting with each other. Teacher, name. What's something that uses pull? Me, doors teacher, that's right, now use that one and go to the principal's office. My buddy and I were camping and saw a bear, so we decided to sleep in his car. I was still worried about the bear, so it took forever to fall asleep. Well, right after I fell asleep, I woke up to screams and something grabbing my face. I immediately started crying, knowing that a bear was about to rip my face off. Then I realized it was my friend having a night terror. I was livid. Sounds like you're the one who got the night terror. Anyone here have one of those robotic vacuums? When the power goes out, those duckers start wandering around lost, bumping into shit. Absolutely terrifying thing to be woken up by at 3 in the morning. I had one of those. I think their homing sensortimer thingies got tripped during a thunderstorm. My old Rottweiler mix lost her shit, she was going senile and anything out of routine was terrifying, and broke it. I no longer have a Roomba. God rest its tiny, cleanly soul. It's okay, all good robots go to Silicon Heaven. They have tiny winged toasters on clouds playing harps there. A few years back I hear a thud in the hallway and my 4-year-old daughter screaming in pain. She had fallen and gotten a small but deep cut just above her left eyebrow. When I got out to the hallway, her face, hands and pajamas were covered in blood and she was holding her hands against her face. I thought she lost her eye. A quick trip to the ER for a couple of stitches and she was right as rain, but I gained almost all of my gray hair that night. Oh man, nothing like your kid bleeding copious amounts of blood to get you into superhero mode while giving you all the gray hair. Our only emergency room trip for my son was when he busted the back of his head open on a shelf. Like he had a red third eyeball on the back of his head. Cue the scene at the ER with 5M standing around helping calm him down while a doctor came in and just quickly stapled it back together. Was with my old dad in the ER one night and someone was carrying a crying little girl who was covered in blood down the hall. My dad got really upset, but I said that she looked like she was okay, just bleeding from the scalp and probably scared by being in the ER, which calmed him down. Those scalp wounds look like something from a horror movie. I feel like I've read somewhere that head wounds bleed more. Even if that's not true, I imagine it's the hair that makes it look 10 times worse. Hair matted with blood is a nasty sight. EMT here. They bleed like crazy. Just a really vascular area, so cuts tend to bleed a lot before they clot up. Got to see my dad cut himself above the eye after hitting the blunt a little too hard and falling over, and if it wasn't so ducking funny, it would have scared the shit out of me at the time even with the training. Couple years later my wife smacked her head right into a cabinet door corner and at this point, I was laughing my ass off at the whole situation. When it started running over her face, I was like Ryan Gosling in The Nice Guys, that's a lot of blood. If it isn't a laceration needing stitches, just some direct pressure with a clean rag or gauze will usually do a good enough job stymieing the bleeding at home. My 2-year-old standing over me with a kitchen knife. He wanted sliced apples at 4 o'clock in the morning, and somehow managed to climb up on table and pull out a knife. Now we keep them in the cupboard. Dang, kids are terrifying. Most of these stories are about super creepy children waking up their parents. There's a reason children's laughter without a kid nearby is terrifying. Because the things they get into innocently are far more terrifying than anything a horror movie monster child will do. Apartment on fire. Actually, this week is the 5th anniversary. When I lived in an apartment complex, the fire alarms went off a few times, and even though it was always for some stupid reason such as smoking in the lobbies, or whatever, I always grabbed the pets, and waited outside for however long it took. So many people just stayed in though, cause they didn't take them seriously. I kinda don't want to be trapped in a burning high rise, so I'll take my chances and waste the time waiting, haha. I find that very wise. Good for you for not being complacent. In January of this year, a car ran into my bedroom at 1 a.m. Those asking for more info. Basically, I had just gotten home from visiting my parents and I went to bed around 12:30 a.m. At 1:04 a.m. a car ran into my bedroom connected half bathroom. My bathroom is about 3 feet squared, so that was completely destroyed, and the car was partially in my room also. My roommate and I went outside after calling 911 to search for the driver. Thankfully he was okay. He was laying on the ground about 20 feet away from a car. He had empty beer cans in his car and pill bottles. He told us he was 25, but we soon found out from police he was 19. This whole situation has been a mess because my landlord wanted to do all the repairs himself. I just moved back into my room last week and had been living in the living room for the past 2 months. I'm glad to finally have a bedroom again, but sleeping in that room still makes me nervous at night. I still can't use my bathroom after 10 p.m. because it makes me nervous. It'll be fine eventually, I just need to get used to it. So was it the screeching of the tires, the loud honking of the horn, the screaming, or the suddenly and explicitly loud crashing with bricks and glass flying everywhere, that woke you up? Or perhaps when you went to investigate, it was the sudden realization you forgot to renew your home insurance? It was definitely the loud noise that scared me. I had never heard anything that loud. It sounded like an explosion. My girlfriend's mother telling me there were 2 police officers and my mother at the front door. It was 4 a.m. and I was sleeping at the girlfriend's house. They had come to inform me my dad had died. That was around 14 years ago. I'm afraid to say that I don't think this sort of wake up won't happen again. I had my mom wake me up in my freshman dorm room with 2 public safety officers and my aunt there to tell me my dad has passed away in the night. Truly awful way to wake up, and I feel for you. Agreed. I remember when my grandmother died. My mother woke us up, my brothers and I, at around 3 in the morning, saying they're going to drop us off somewhere and an uncle was going to take us to my grandmother's town to see my grandmother because she was very sick. My parents are divorced and father lived elsewhere, but closer to that town than us. I remember the car ride there. Everyone was quiet. I even remember imagining what it would be like if my grandmother died and wasn't sick, as my mother had said. Turns out she did die, but my mother thought it best not to tell us. Good on her. That would have been a terrible 4-hour car ride, and even worse way to wake up. That's the worst memory I have. Us pulling up to the house to see numerous cars parked out front, then us getting off the car to hug my father, who had tears in eyes. At that moment, no one had to say anything, we knew. Worst pain I've ever felt, didn't get over it for years. Attribution, wake up, I think the house is on fire. Turned out it was the downstairs neighbor burning his wife's car up. Edit. 1. I was 8. The downstairs neighbors were the sort of white trash that make the people on Shameless look like bitch-ass punks. I still don't for sure know why he burned his wife's car up, but he did a thorough job of it. The thing was a burned out frame that looked like the aftermath of those don't drink and drive posters. I do know the insurance company ruled it was arson. 2. My username is a corruption of Adirondack Kaiju. I just made it up for my DeviantArt page. My name's not really Attribution. 3. For the folks making the Simpsons references, it really was my mother waking me up, and I swear to God, I actually live in upstate New York, a few miles outside Albany. And no, we don't call them steamed hams. I have so many questions. Let's start with, where does the name Attribution come from? India according to Google. Thanks Dave. Thanks Obama.